ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ጥራት ባለው ስልጠና ልዩነት መፍጠር ዋናው ዓላማው ነው። ከከፍተኛ ትምህርት አግባብነትና ጥራት ኤጀንሲ ሙሉ ዕውቅና ባገኘንባቸው በማስተርስ ፕሮግራም ኤምቢኤ በስትራቴጂክ ማኔጅመንት፣ ኤምቢኤ በቢዝነስ ሊደርሺፕ፣ ኤምቢኤ በሪስክና ኢንሹራንስ፣ ኤምቢኤ በባንኪንግና ፋይናንስ፣ ኤምኤስሲ በኢንተርናሽናል ትሬድና ኢኮኖሚክስ፣ ኤምኤ በሆስፒታሊቲ ማኔጅመንት፣ ኤምኤ በሎጂስቲክስና ሰፕላይ ቼን ማኔጅመንት፣ ኤምኤስሲ በአቪዬሽን ማኔጅመንት ተማሪዎቻችን በልዩነት ይማራሉ። በኬንያ ሀገር ከሚገኙ ስመጥር ዩኒቨርሲቲዎች በመጡ ፕሮፌሰሮች ስልጠናው ይሰጣል። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ በዲግሪ ፕሮግራም በአቪዬሽን ማኔጅመንት፣ በአካውንቲንግና ፋይናንስ፣ በማርኬቲንግ ማኔጅመንት፣ በሆቴል ማኔጅመንት በምዝገባ ላይ ነን። በአጫጭር ኮርሶችም በፍላይት ኦፕሬሽን፣ በቲኬቲንግና ሪዘርቬሽን፣ በሆስቴስ፣ በሆስፒታሊቲ ማኔጅመንት እናሰለጥናለን። አድራሻ ከ22 አደባባይ ወደ ሾላ በሚወስደው መንገድ ላይ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ህልሞን እውን ያደርጋል።
So in the last class, we covered some points related to event organizations and the table setting arrangement, the table layout, and other such topics are covered in the last class. For today, we will see the service organization and also the seating arrangement, the formal seating arrangement, and other topics which are related to the weeding, and we classify also weeding in different parts. We will try to see those points. So in the service organization, basically or traditionally, in the case of formal event, now it's become normal practice that the top table service staffs always begin to serve, or they are the one who start to clean first the table, so that the banquet or the event head waiter, they will organize their staff accordingly. So when they give a signal, the top table server or the top table waiter, they can start or they can begin to make or to deliver the service for the guests who are seated on the top table. So immediately they will be followed by all other service staff, so that in this case the top table waiters are the first person or the first waiter who start to make the service. At the same time, they are the one who start to clear the table at first. Once they do this, the other waiters who are serving in other stations, they will follow the server who is allocated in the top table, so that the banquet waiters will not give a signal to clear a course until all guests are having or they have finished eating. Basically, when we come to the applicability of those terms, it might be rare in our country because they will start to devour without having or seeing a signal. And also it may also be affected by the guest preference. Some guests, they may not prefer to have a dirty plates or a dirty glasses and other things on their plate, so they might demand to be cleared the table because they don't want to see any dirty items in their places. But in other way or in the reverse, in such kind of events, if they have the experience, the table will not be cleared unless all the guests has finished their meal, so that the banquet head waiter or the event head waiter are the one to give this signal to deliver that specific service. So every time all the staff they should leave and also enter the room led by the top table service staff and followed by other service staff in a predetermined order. They should maintain their order in advance. So this predetermined order is to mean that the staffs with stations furthest from the service door, they should be nearer the top table service staff in the lineup. So this is to mean when we are entering to the room, all service staff reach their station at more or less the same time. So each member of staff then service their own tables, as we mentioned earlier, using the predetermined service method. It might be full silver service, it might be combination of plated, it might be silver service, it might be a platter to plate, and different kinds of service. So depending on the predetermined service method, all the staff will start to deliver the service. So when we are delivering the service, there is a buffet. So we classified buffet into three components. The first one, finger buffet. The second will be fork buffet. The third one, formal buffet. When we say the finger buffet as a term or as a name indicate, the guests will select and consume the food with their fingers, so that the F&B item or the food and beverage items will be available at a buffet, or they might be available on trays, on the platters. So they might be carried and rounded by the waiters. This kind of service is called butler service. So in order to deliver this service, basically we need to lay up a napkins. Napkins should have to be available. They need to be passed on the tray because they are consuming the food using their finger, so that they need to tie, they need to clear their hands using that napkins. And when you come to the room, it must be organized in order to make sure that there is enough space for the guests to circulate, and also that a number of occasional tables and chairs, they are placed round the room. So guests will be dispersed and they will be served on their locations. If it is butler service, if it is a buffet, they are the one who will reach to the buffet and they will collect their food items using their fingers. So those occasional tables may be covered with linen cloths, basically, and they may have a small flower vase in order to give an ambience. In order to give an ambience, we might do this thing. Sorry. So any dirties are then removed from the table by the clearing staff. When we say the clearing staff, basically in large hotels we might find clearing staff, but in smaller hotels those kind of staff members may not be available in the organizational chart. So the second type of buffet will be fork buffet. So in this case, the guests are the one who select the food, then they will be transformed or they will be transferred on that are transferred on a plate. So they then eat the food using only a fork. At this time, they will not use their fingers. Rather, they are having their meals using the fork. So in this case, the food always must be of such a shape and size in order to make it easy to be accomplished, or for the customer to dine easily without sleep. They need to be in a good or in a such shape and size. And at the same time, the glass holders are usually available, which clip to the side of the plate, in which a wine glass may be secured. So the same to the finger buffet, napkins always they should have to be available on the buffet, and the room organization also similar to that which we used in the finger buffet. The third one, display or formal buffet. In the case of display, the guest will select their food and then eat at a table. They will eat at a table, and the guests approach the buffet at its various service points to select their requirement course by courses. And in the display buffet, ancillary items like rolls, butchers, sauce, napkins, the tablewares, and other things also collected at the buffet. And once they collected, the guests then return to their tables to consume or to have that meal. So the table layouts are which is more similar to the standard banquet layout. As we all know, as we discussed in the past class, we have a standard banquet layout, so we will lay down all the necessary table settings or table setup accordingly, and the clearing table also takes place in the same way as for banquet, the same or formal banquets. The second, once we organize the service, once we choose the type of buffet, the next step will be staff organization. Basically, the general consideration for service staff for events are given as below. A waiter at a banquet, basically, they will be expected to serve between 10 to 12 covers on a station. But sometimes this might be reach up to 20 depending on the service organization. And when we say cover, it's to represent one seat or one person. So when we see a wine waiter, they have to serve approximately 25 covers or 25 customers. But as we mentioned, this is also depending on the type of the event and also the number of wine which we offer, and whether any wine is inclusive in the price of the menu or is it cash bar. So that depending on those all terms, the number of customers which is served by a wine waiter will increase or decrease. So before we make a decision or before we give a station to our wine waiters, we need to determine those things. What is the event? Is it a conference? Is it a wedding? Is it a party? Launching a new product or what? We need to determine this. How much wines are available or are offered to this event? Is it one pack? Is it 100 bottles? How many? This is also one of the factors. Are they paying in cash or is it included in the package or in the meal? Once we answer all those questions, we can assign the wine waiters the number of customers which he or she will be obliged to serve. The other point, the wine waiter, they may also be required to serve aperitif at the receptions before a meal. When we say aperitif, as you all know, it's an appetizer beverage. In the food and beverage management 3, we see we classified wine into 3 parts. There is table wine, fortified wine, and sparkling wine. So the term aperitif is included in the fortified wine. So fortified wine are classified into 2 parts. They can be called as aperitifs and dessert wines. So that before we are having a meal at the reception area, we might serve aperitif if it is included. So if we serve aperitif, it is necessary or it is mandatory to make or to prepare the necessary mise en place to make sure that the reception area is ready. For example, ashtray, if it is allowed, they might be stated, cocktail snacks, setting up of a portable bar, polishing glasswares, and others. When we are delivering the service using white gloves, in some establishment, as you all know, members of the waiting staff, they might wear white cotton gloves when they are carrying various preparation tasks. It has its own reason. The first reason, the glove will help us to prevent soiling of clean service items, which are, it might be the glassware, it might be the cutlery, it might be the flatware, it might be the hollowware. And also, it will avoid putting a finger marks on a clean, polished equipment, so that white cotton gloves might be necessary. It will add a value when we are delivering a service. It will create a good ambience when it's combined with the tablecloths, with the napkins, the table setup, with the uniform by itself. So that some establishment, they might wear a white glove to do this. And white gloves also might be used during the service instead of service clothes. Sometimes, as we know, we use service clothes when we are delivering a service, but some establishments, they might use the gloves during the service when serving plated food that are presented on hot plates. So if white gloves are to be used, then there must be a clean edge on the plate. What the reason? Because the food or the sauces on the plate, they do not easily soil the glove. If it has what? A clean edge. If it has a clean edge, it will not easily soil the glove. Once we do this, the next thing what we need to do is allocating station. In the case of station, when all the necessary mise en place have been completed or stated, all the preparation is done to deliver the service, all the staff should have to be assembled together. So the stations are allocated to the waiter and the wine waiter. Mostly, more experienced and proficient members of staffs are usually allocated to the top table because they are the hosts. They are the prime concern for us. The others as well, but as the owner of the event, more experienced and proficient members should have to be allocated at the top table. When we say top table በምንልበት ሰዓት ላይ ለምሳሌ ሰርግ ላይ በሚሆንበት ሰዓት ላይ ይሄ ለምሳሌ ሙሽሮቹና ሚዜዎቹ አኮሞዴት የሚያደርግበት ፓርት ነው ቶፕ ቴብል ብለን የምንጠራው ማለት ነው። የተለያዩ ኢቨንቶች ላይ ደግሞ በምናይበት ሰዓት ላይ ይሄ የካምፓኒ ሲኢኦዎች፣ ቦርድ ሜምበሮች የመሳሰሉት ሆስት ያደረጉትን ያንን ኢቨንት ወይም ደግሞ ሃየር ኦፊሻሎች ብለን የምንጠራቸው we call top table ላይ ሲት የምናደርገው አሎኬት የምናደርገው ለሱ ነው ማለት ነው that's why top table ላይ more experienced የሆኑ more professional የሆኑ ሰዎችን አሎኬት ማድረግ መቻል ያለብን ማለት ነው so depending on the status allocation station allocate የምናደርግበትም seating arrangementአቸው ከስቴጁ ፊት ለፊት ጋር ማን መሆን መቻል አለበት ወደ ኋላ ማን መሆን አለበት መጨረሻ ላይ ማን ነው መሆን አለበት የሚሉት ነገሮች በጠቅላላ it will depend on the guest list በገስት ሊስቱ መሰረት ነው ያንን ዴሊቨሪ የምናደርገው ማለት ነው ስለዚህ we need to be more curious on allocating the station so the waiter brigade they should line up in an orderly fashion at the hot plate for each courses so that with the waiter for the top table at the head of the line and the waiter of or the teams then line in according to the distance of their station from the service hot plate so this order should have to be maintained throughout the service, from the starting point till the end. And after the service of each course, the brigade should remain outside the banquet room in readiness to clear and serve the next course. Once we deliver the one courses, we need to be ready to clear or to debar and to make or to deliver the next services. So when we see the forms of address for all events, whether it's formal and informal, each case is very important. And greater care should be taken to ensure the correct form of address are used to suit the occasion. So at a very formal event, royalty or other dignitary may be attending as guests. So that etiquette therefore demands a certain order of precedence when proposing and replying to toast, and the correct mode of address should be adhered to. In this case form of address በምንልበት ሰዓት ላይ we need to keep the protocol ወይም ደግሞ ኤቲኬት ብለን የምንጠራው አንዳንድ ጊዜ ይሄ የሮያሊቲ እንግዶች ሊመጡብን ይችላል ወይም ደግሞ ሃየር ገቨርንመንት ኦፊሻሎች ሊመጡ ይችላሉ እነሱ በሚመጡበት ሰዓት ላይ በምንጠራበት ሰዓትም ሰርቭ በምናደርግበት ሰዓትም we need to make sure they are addressed in appropriate manner ለምሳሌ በእኛ ሀገር ኮንቴክስት በምናይበት ሰዓት ላይ የጠቅላይ ሚኒስትሯ ባለቤት ከሆነ ሰርቭ የሚደረጉት ቀዳማዊ እመቤት ወይም ፈርስት ሌዲ ተብሎ ይጠራል ሴም ቱ አዝ ሌሎችም ማለት ነው ዩር ማጀስቲ ይባላል ይሄ ሞናርኪ ደግሞ እንትን ያላቸው የንጉሳዊ ቤተሰቦች ደግሞ ካሉ በዛው መልኩ ማለት ነው ሶ ታይትላቸውን ሜንሽን ማድረግ መቻል ይጠበቅብናል ማለት ነው ቤዚካሊ ያንን ደግሞ ቶስት ማስተሩ ነው ያንን ማድረግ የሚጠበቅበት ማለት ነው ስለዚህ እያንዳንዱ ያንን ማሟላት ይጠበቅብናል ማለት ነው ክብርት ከንቲባ ሜየር ከሆነች ማለት ነው ያንን ሁሉ እያንዳንዱ በየፖዚሽኑ ፉልፊል ማድረግ መቻል ይጠበቅብናል ያንን ሜንሽን ማድረግ መቻል ይጠበቅብናል ማለት ነው ስለዚህ ሁሉ ጊዜ ያንን ኮንሲደሬሽን ውስጥ መክተት መቻል ይጠበቅብናል ማለት ነው when you see the loyalty toast when you say the loyalty toast is a toast to the head of state which may be as I said a president or reigning monarchy the king or the queen so at any formal event it is common for the loyalty toast to be made so the Toastmasters basically announce this toast as soon as the sweet course, which is the dessert, has been cleared. Once we finished the final course, the dessert, the Toastmaster will announce. But before the coffee and tea is to be served, this the Toastmaster announcement is made. So staff should ensure before this time that all glasses have been charged, which is to mean top up in readiness for the coming toast. ሁላችንም ቶስት ማድረግ ብንፈልግ ወይም ደግሞ ቶስት የምናደርግ ከሆነ ቶስት የምናደርገው በኤምፒቲ ቦትል አይደለም ወይም በኤምፒቲ ግላስ አይደለም፣ በባዶ ብርጭቆ አይደለም። ስለዚህ ቶስት የሚደረገው መቼ ነው? ቀደም እንዳለው ስዊቶቹ ሜን ዲሽ ሰርቭ አፒታይዘር ሰርቭ ተደረገ፣ ሜን ዲሽ ሰርቭ ተደረገ፣ ስዊት ኮርስ ወይም ዴዘርት ላይ ያሉ ስዊት ኮርሶች ሰርቭ ከተደረገ ክሊር ከተደረጉ በኋላ ዲባር ከተደረገ ከተጸዳ በኋላ ነገር ግን ቲ ወይም ደግሞ ኮፊ ሰርቭ ከመደረጉ በፊት ነው አናውንስመንት የሚያደርገው ይሄ ቶስት ማስተሩ ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ ያ በሚሆንበት ሰዓት ላይ ሁሉም ስታፍ በጣም ሬዲ መሆን መቻል አለበት። የሁሉም ከስተመር ግላሶች ቶፕ አፕ መደረግ መሙላት መቻል አለባቸው። ምክንያቱም ቶስቱ ከመደረጉ በፊት ሁሉም ብርጭቆ ውስጥ መጠጥ ሊኖር ይገባል ቶስት በሚያደርጉበት ሰዓት ላይ ማለት ነው። ሶ እዚህ ጋር ያሉት የሰርቪስ ስታፎች ትልቅ ሪስፖንሲቢሊቲ ይኖርባቸዋል ማለት ነው። ሶ the loyal toast should be announced by the toast master and then normally it will be proposed by the host for the evening. For example, it might be the chairperson or the president of an association. This is the example for order of service in the formal event, which is the table service. The first thing or the first order, the Toastmaster announce the luncheon or the dinner. So the prime step will be its announcement. The Toastmaster will make an announcement. Then the guests proceed to their place in the room. Once the announcement is made or done, the guest will proceed to their places in the dining room. And in the third step, grace or some other praise sometimes said, depending on the religion, depending on the attitude of the hostess, some grace or other type of prayer might be also done. Then the guest will sit, but during this time, always you need to remember chairs should have to be pulled out by the waiters. The customers will not or should never pull out the chair. So it's our responsibility. Then the waiter place napkin across the guest laps. In this step, sometimes the guest may not be willing to have this service, so that we need to be flexible. If they didn't want, we should let them to do this, because sometimes in that specific area guests might need privacy, or they may not be willing to be touched or touched in that area. So we need to understand the guest feeling. So once we do that, water and also first wine will be served. The first wine is what? It's an aperitif. Aperitif will be served. Once we do this, if first course is not already on the table, we need to proceed to the hot plate to collect the first course. But if it is in the table, we need to line up according to the conventional system. Top table first, as I said, always we will start from the top table. And the next step, serve first course, which is hors d'oeuvre or appetizer. To top table waiters to commence service first. The top table waiters are the one who take the items to serve what? The top table. And all food waiters to leave room after each course is served. Then they will take in fish course plate. Once they have that food item, or once they serve the first dish, they take in fish course plate, and they will clear the first course, which is the appetizer. Then the second wine will be served. In the case of the second wine, in the case of fish item, basically the second wine will be white wine. Depending on the fish type or the preparation method, the type of the white wine might be different. It might be medium sweet, it might be sweet, it might be dry. That white wine is the second wines to be served, and we need to lay a fish plate and take out dirty and collect the fish course. Then we need to serve the fish course and leave room taking the dirty silver. Then the next step, taking meat plates, which is relieving the main meat course. At this time, third wine will be served. In the case of third wine, it is to mean red wine. As I said, depending on the beef items, depending on the relieve, it's not intake, it's relieve. Depending on the relieve, the type of the red wine might be different. So we need to clear the fish course, and we need to lay the meat plate, and we need to take out and collect potato and other vegetable dishes once they have this meal. So we need to place on a hot plate on a sideboard or any side table, and we need to return to hot plate and collect the main meat dishes, and also we need to present on each table and serve together with sauce if appropriate. If it is allowed, if it is necessary, we can use different kinds of sauces, and serve accompanying potato and vegetable. As we know, we need to follow always the French classic menu sequence, and we need to leave room by taking the dirty silvers, and we need to continue with a similar process for the remaining course of the meal through to the beverage. So the order of service on the table, on the top table at function, specifically or especially very formal occasion, it is the one time when the host might be served first or at exact the same time as the guest of honors, should they be seated on different station. At formal events, there may be speech on toasts. For example, the CEO, the company president, the chairperson, they might make a speech and do the toast. So this often takes place at the end of the meal. Those kind of things, mostly they are done at the end of the meal. However, currently it has become more common for this to take place at different times during the meal. The next point, it's about weddings. In the case of weddings, we also try to see some pointers in the past point, and I will gonna give you the material so you can read some additional information beyond the PowerPoint. There are two main types of wedding celebration. Those are wedding breakfast and wedding reception. At the initial meeting, which is between the client and banquet manager, to arrange a wedding breakfast or reception, the requirements of the client will depend on the type of wedding breakfast or reception, plus the number of guests attended, plus the cost per person to be paid. So, to make a decision whether it is wedding breakfast or reception, it will be decided with the communication of the client and the banquet, the event manager. The number of guests attended will affect our decision, the number of person. How much person? How many person? Are they 100, 200, 1000? How much? This will affect our decision. How much is the cost per person, per head, per plate? This is also one factor to make a decision. So, for a wedding, the content of the menu and the beverage will be affected by cultural and religious dietary influence, as well as any specific special dietary needs. For example, if you see in our country, the wedding season is during January and April. Specifically, why we choose those times, the first reason, on those periods, there is no fasting. For example, after the Easter celebration, for 50 days, there is no fasting. So people will make their wedding on that time. In the January months, after Christmas, there is no fasting. So religious highly influence the content of the menu and the beverage. This at the same time, some customers may not want to eat other religion food items. For example, if the wedding is, or if the person who want to make the wedding, if they are a Muslim, they will not only provide or contain a meat item, because some other Christian guests, invited guests, they may not be willing to have a meat. So that for them, there might be different fasting food items. The reverse is true. The reverse is true. If the person is a Christian, they need to prepare some food items for invited guests who are not followed that specific religion. And also culture. When we make the content of the menu, we need to consider the culture influence. For example, if their ethnic is Gurage, they might need kitfo to be included in the menu, because it's their cultural food. It represents their culture, their identity. Their identity. If they are Trogram peoples, they might need to have tehlo. If they are from the southern part of Ethiopia, they might need raw meat or tresega, because it is their culture. So when we are making, or when we prepare, when we design a menu for the wedding, we need to consider both the cultural and religion dietary requirement. The type of wedding, which is civil or religious, it will also affect the arrangement, and it have an implication for the specific requirements for the wedding breakfast or the reception. When it's religious, mostly it is done in the church, but in the case of civil, it will be done in the venue. So other consideration are also requirements concerning a wedding cake. We need to consider this. Who provide the wedding cake? That is that the hotel? Is it complimentary, free? Because you have 300 guests. Are you the one who bring from outside the stand and the knife is presented by the hotel, or they are the one who bring by themselves? Is there a corkage fee when they bring their own? Whether a room is available for the bride and bridegroom to change their clothes prior to leaving the breakfast or the receptions? Is it free, the room, or we will charge them some amount of money? Whether the wedding present will be displayed? If so, how much space will be needed to display those things? Whether the service of a photographer will be required. Always, we need to consider all those factors when we are considering related to wedding. So in the case of wedding breakfast, basically we also call it banquet. When the wedding breakfast is to be formally banquet, then the details will be applied. This include the same consideration for which we discussed in the past other topics. The seating arrangement should have to be considered. Who has to be on the top table? Who has to be in the edge? Who has to be at the last? We need to consider the table plan. Is it by alphabet? We need to consider the table layout, the closing up, the service organization, the staff organization, the order of service. What we discussed prior to those topics. All things will be applicable for the wedding as well. In the past, we considered or we discussed all those topics in the event point. So for the wedding is also one part of the event. So we will follow all the necessary procedures which we follow for conference and other kinds of events. In addition to that, considerations needs to be given to time and venue of wedding ceremony. The time is the most important. If it is lunch, we might also make a reservation for what? For dinner. So that at a time, at a day, at a given one day, we might deliver, we might serve to customers. This is only done if you know, this is only done if you know the time. We need to know the due arrival time at the venue. This is very important in order to what? To present the food items in the buffet. We need to know who provide the wedding cake, the stand, the knife. Are they the decor? The event organizer, the wedding organizer, or us? We need to consider. What about floral arrangement? Whose responsibility is this? Is it for the hotel? Is it for the organization, or event or wedding organizer? Or the decor? And the time for evening reception. In addition to the customary toast, the cutting of the wedding cake needs to be organized. Basically, this is usually at the end of the meal and after the tea, coffee has been served. The other wedding reception, which is buffet. When the reception is to be a buffet, then the buffet itself should be placed in such a position that it is on view to all guests as they entered the room. So when we are positioning the buffet, we need to consider this thing. But within access of the service door for ease of clearing and restocking. It needs to have an access to the service door, because it will not be a hassle at the end for clearing, debarring, and if some food item or if some courses are out of stock, in order to restock them in the chefing dish, we need to be we need to have an access to the service door. So the buffet should be closed up so that the buffet close reach with 1.3 centimeter in the floor, and both ends should be boxed neatly. And the hairs along the top and front of the buffet should be lined up, and adequate room should be left between the buffet and wall in order to allow two people to pass. Spacing is mandatory. If you make it close to the wall, people cannot move with the other side. Basically, if it is a buffet, people need to access from 2 points, from the right and the left, in order to minimize the traffic jam of the buffet. So we need to give a space in order to allow 2 persons or 2 people to pass, and for any extra supplies and equipment required. The other floral arrangement. When you say floral arrangement, as you take it in the housekeeping management course, the floral arrangement is more related to the flower arrangement. It is the most important aspect of the decoration part, and it helps show off the room to be best effect. The room ambience, the room view will be different once we make the floral arrangement. You can imagine a table without any flower versus with different floral arrangement. There are different types of floral arrangement depending on the event type, depending on the amount of money which the host pay for the decor. They will arrange that one. It will give a great ambience to the room. A large floral arrangement should be normally placed. It has to be placed near the entrance to be noted on arrival by all guests. So once we put this heavy or large floral arrangement, they will easily know the event which is held on that specific venue. So we need to place it near to the entrance. And a further larger centerpiece of flower may also be placed in the center of the buffet. At the centerpiece, we might also put large centerpiece or flower. Other smaller arrangement of flower might be placed at interval around the room on the occasional table. And the final floral arrangement will depend on the cost involved. Every time the front of the buffet close may the front of the buffet close may be decorated with some greeny of some sort or some colored velvet maybe dropped along in order to take away the plainness of the white buffet close. So floral arrangement እንደምናስብበት ሰዓት ላይ በጣም ትልቅ ኢፌክት አለው ዊዲንጉን ወይም ደግሞ ሴሌብሬሽኑን በጣም ለማሳመር ኢፌክት አለው የተለያዩ ሰርግ ሄዳችሁ ታውቃላችሁ ብዬ ኮንሲደር አድርጋለሁ አበባ የሌለበት ዊዲንግ ወይም ደግሞ የፍላወር አሬንጅመንት ያልተደረገበት ዊዲንግ ምን ያህል ውበት አለው ፍላወር አሬንጅመንት የተደረገበት ዊዲንግ ምን አይነት ውበት አለው አሬንጅመንቱ ደግሞ አሁን ለምሳሌ እንደ ክፍያችሁ ሊወሰን ይችላል በጣም ጥቅጥቅ ያሉ አሬንጅመንቶች አንዳንድ ጊዜ ከሙሽሮቹ ጀርባ ታያላችሁ በጣም በሚያምር መልኩ የተሰራ ማለት ነው ኢናዘር ዌይ ደግሞ ላይክ ብዙ ብር ስላልከፈላችሁ ደግሞ የተወሰነ ደግሞ ክፍተት ምናምን የሚታይበት አለ በየቴብሉ በእያንዳንዱ ከስተመር ቴብል ላይ ሊቀመጥ ይችላል በር ላይ ሊቀመጥ ይችላል ቡፌው ላይ ሊቀመጥ ይችላል ስለዚህ ያ ምን ይሰጣል ውበት ይሰጣል ማለት ነው ምን ተጠቀማቸው የአበባ አይነቶች በራሱ ቫሪ ያደርጋሉ ከከለር ኮምቢኔሽን አንፃር ከሚያስተላልፉት መልእክት አንፃር ፍሎራል አሬንጅመንቶቹን በራሳቸው የራሳቸው ሚኒንግ ስለሚኖራቸው ያንን ኮንሲደር ማድረግ መቻል ይጠበቅብናል ማለት ነው ነገር ግን ሁሉንም በመናረግበት ሰዓት ላይ ኮስት የምናደርገው ነገር ማተር ያደርጋል ማለት ነው ዳዘር the wedding cake It may be used as a separate focal point away from the buffet and it should be placed upon its stand with a knife on a special table close up for the purpose. ብዙ ጊዜ ዌዲንግ ኬኮችን ደግሞ በመናይበት ሰዓት ላይ ከቡፌት ተነጥለው ለብቻቸው ነው ተቀምጠው ከቡፌው አጠገብ ሳይሆን ከቡፌው አጠገብ የዌዲንግ ኬክ አይደለም ክሊር እንዲሆንላችሁ ቡፌት ላይ ዴዘርት ይወጣል ቡፌት ላይ ዴዘርት ሲወጣ it might be ሌላ ብላክ ፎረስት ሊሆን ይችላል ፑዲንግ ሊሆን ይችላል any kinds of cake ሊሆን ይችላል ያ የሚወጣው it as part of dessert ነው as part of the menu ነው the wedding cake ግን ሙሽሮቹ የሚቆርሱት ስለሆነ ራሱን የቻለ ነው it might be layer ሊኖረው ይችላል ባለ 3 ቶፕ ሊሆንም ላይሆንም ይችላል አንድ ሆኖ ትልቅ ሊሆን ይችላል whatever the case is እሱ ከስታንድ ጋርና ከቢላ ጋር ተደርጎ ቴብል ክሎዝድ ለብሶ ስታንዱ ለብቻው ተነጥሎ ይቆማል so this is a very important aspect of dressing after by itself as the main formalities of the breakfast or receptions takes place at a certain stage of the proceeding around the wedding cake so the cake must therefore be in a full view to everyone in the room that's why ብዙ ጊዜ መኑ ጋር የሚቀመጠው በግራና በቀኝ መሃል ላይ ማለት ነው ወክዌው ላይ ነው ብዙ ጊዜ የሚደረገው ሲቲንግ አሬንጅመንታችን በዛ መልኩ ከሆነ ማለት ለሁሉም ከስተመር እይታ በሚያመች መልኩ ነው ሴት መደረግ መቀመጥ መቻል ያለበት the brides and the bridesmaids bouquets are often placed on the table around the base of the wedding cake together with any telegrams of congratulations that are to be ready out by the base man or it might also be toastmaster as part of the speech The other arrangement of that. Arrangement, you already discussed this part in the event. Occasional tables should be placed at a regular interval around the room and closed up in a suitable manner. They might be standing table ሊሆን ይችላል occasional table በሰዓት ላይ ስለዚህ ኢንተርቫል ወይም ደግሞ በተወሰነ መልኩ ርቀትን በጠበቀ ሰዎችን ኢዝሊ ሊያንቀሳቀስ ከስተመሮችንም ሊሆን ይችላል ዌተሮችን ማቴሪያሎችን ሙቭ ልናደርግበት የምንችለውን ስፔስ አይነት ሰጥተን ልብሶች በደንብ ለብሰው ቴብል ክሎዝ ከሆነ ቴብል ክሎዝ ሊሆን ይችላል የተለያዩ ልብሶችን ድረስድ አድርገን አሬንጅ መደረግ እንችላለን and if it is round table ደግሞ ከሆነ group of chairs ለምሳሌ አንድ ቴብል ላይ 8 ሊሆን ይችላል 8 ወንበር በየቦታው መደረግ መቻል አለበት 10 ከሆነ 10 depending on የራውንድ ቴብሉ ሳይዝ እንዲሁም 8 እናድርግ 10 እናድርግ 7 እናድርግ በምንልበት ሰዓት ላይ ያምን የምንወስንበት ኢነፍ ስፔስ መኖር መቻል አለበት በእያንዳንዱ ቴብል ወይም ደግሞ አንድ ራውንድ ቴብል ላይ 10 ሰው እናስቀምጥ ስንል ለ10 ሰው ፕሮፐርሊ ቴብል ሴትአፕ ያሰራነዋል ወይ necessary equipment cutlery flatware hollowwareዎችን ያስቀምጥልናል ወይ so it is the one which determines ይሄንን አስበን ነው ስለዚህ 6 ሴትአፕ ከሆነ የሚሰራው 6 ቴብል እናስቀምጣለን 7 አኮሞዴት የሚያደርግልን ከሆነ 7 8 የሚያደርግልን ከሆነ 8 So we need to do this. So we need to ensure there is still spare for people to walk around and meet. And all the ancillary items required for the efficient service of the meal should be placed upon the occasional table. As I said, ancillary items in ቀደም የጠቀስናቸውን ሶሶች ሊኖሩ ይሆን ይችላል በቸር rolls, side plate, side knife, napkins, sugar basin, tongue, accompaniment for cold meat items, salad, ashtray, and other things. All those items should have to be placed. Occasional table like እነዚህ ነገሮች በጠቅላላ ልናገኛቸው እንችላለን። ስለዚህ ምን ያህል ቼር ምን ያህል ወንበር እናድርግ የሚለውን በምናስብበት ሰዓት ላይ we need to consider those factors. There are other requirements. The client may request that you arrange for a photographer to be present and this then is a further charge that has to be made. ብዙ ጊዜ ክላይንቶች ምን ሊፈልጉ ይችላሉ ፎቶግራፈር እንድናዘጋጅላቸው እንድናመቻችላቸው ሊፈልጉ ይችላሉ ያው ይሄኛውንም ግን በመናደርግበት ሰዓት ላይ ተጨማሪ ክፍያ ከስተመሮቹ ለኛ የሚከፍሉ ይሆናል ማለት ነው ነገር ግን ብዙ ጊዜ ይሄንን ስራ እኛ አሬንጅ እንድናደርግ አይመከርም we need to leave this for the guests to arrange personally ራሳቸው አሬንጅ እንዲያደርጉ ነው መቻል ያለብን ማለት ነው ኤክስተርናል ፋክተሮችን ብዙ ጊዜ ኮንትሮል ማድረግ ስለማንችል ማለት ነው ኢማጂን ፎቶግራፈሩ በደንብ ጥሩ ፎቶዎችን ኤክስፔክት በሚያደርጉት መጠን ደረጃ ባያነሳላቸው you are the one who takes the blame ራሳችሁ ናችሁ ሪስፖንሲቢሊቲ የምትወስዱት ወይም ደግሞ እናንተ ነው ተወቃሽ የምትሆኑት ማለት ነው because you are the one who provides that photographer who recommends that photographer ማለት ነው so እንደዚህ አይነት ነገሮችን ከናንተ ቁጥጥር ውጭ የሆኑ ነገሮችን you have to leave for the client the photographer will usually take photographs of the bride and bridegrooms on arrival at the reception together with a group photo of those in the receiving line one of the bride and bridegroom cutting the cake and maybe one or two of the buffet while it is complete. So in those area, the photographer might take a pictures. When we see the staffing of a wedding, the number of staff required will depending on the nature, requirement of particular event. ሰራተኞችን አሎኬት በመናደርግበት ሰዓት ላይ ዊዲንግ ላይ ምን ያህል ስታፍ ይሆን የመሳሰሉትን በመነልበት ሰዓት ላይ ያንን ለመወሰን የዊዲንጉ የሰርጉ ጸባይ ይወስነዋል። ላንች ነው ዲነር ነው? ምን ያህል ሰው ነው የሚመጣው? ምን አይነት ሰርቪስ ነው የምንጠቀመው? ምን ነገሮችን ኢንክሉድ ያደርጋል? ዋይን ሰርቭ እናደርጋለን ወይስ ምግብና ለስላሳ ሶፍት ድሪንክ ብቻ ነው? እነዚህ ነገሮች ብዙ ኮንሲደሬሽኖችን ያስገባል። ስለዚህ sometimes we might be out of number ከቁጥር በላይ ሊሆን ይችላል ወይም ደግሞ ያለን ስታፍ ያንን ሰርቪስ ዴሊቨር ለማድረግ በቂ ላይሆን ይችላል። በቂ ላይሆን በምንልበት ሰዓት ላይ ምን ስላለን ያንን ሰርግ እያከናወንን ሌላ ፕሮግራሞችን ወይም ደግሞ ሌላ ሰርቪሶችን አንዘጋም። ሬስቶራንቱ መከፈት መቻል አለበት፣ መስራት መቻል አለበት። ስለዚህ ሬስቶራንቱም ጋር ዌተሮች መኖር መቻል አለባቸው፣ ሰርጉም ጋር ዌተሮች መኖር መቻል ይጠበቅበታል ማለት ነው። ሶ we might hire casual ስታፎችን ወይም ደግሞ ጊዜያዊ ሰራተኞችን በቀን ልንከፍላቸው በሰዓት ልንከፍላቸው የምንችላቸውን ሰራተኛ ልንቀጥር እንችላለን ማለት ነው። So as a guide at a buffet type receptions the following staff would be required. So the burgers might include head waiter or banquet head waiters, barman to every 3 wine waiters, 2 commis for fetching, carrying and clearing, and we also need chef to every 35 up to 40 guests for service and wine waiters to every 40 covers. So each of them has their own duty. Each of them have their own responsibility to fulfill. The head waiter, it has its own job. The barman, it has its own duty to control every 3 wine waiters. The commis, the chef, the wine waiter by themselves. So we can do the staffing like this. The other one, outdoor catering. In the case of outdoor catering, which is also called off-premises catering, the business of an outdoor catering firm should, as far as possible, continue throughout the year to ensure the plant. When we say the plant, equipment provided for a particular event and staff are used to the food. And at each event carried out, the organizer should aim to give a full comprehensive sales service, covering not only meal and drink, but also such things as confectionery and snack kiosks. And basically, as in event catering, the organization must be planned to the last detail, and an initial survey should be exact throughout. The following points are usually included in the initial survey. So outdoor ኬተሪንግ በምንልበት ሰዓት ላይ ከሆቴላችን ወጥተን ካለንበት ሆቴል ወጥተን ሳይቶች ላይ የተለያዩ ቦታዎች ላይ ለምሳሌ ኤምባሲ ላይ ሄደን ሰርቪሱን ልንሰጥ እንችላለን። የተለያዩ ኦርጋናይዜሽኖች ላይ ሄደን ልንሰጥ እንችላለን። ያንን በምንሰጥበት ሰዓት ላይ አውትዶር ኬተሪንግ ብለን እንጠራዋለን ማለት ነው። ይሄንን በምናደርግበት ሰዓት ላይ ግን ኦል ኔሰሰሪ ኢኩዊፕመንቶች ሊኖሩን ልናሟላ ይገባል ማለት ነው። ከኢኩዊፕመንቶቹ በዘለለ ደግሞ የኬተሪንግ ስታፍ ሊኖረን ይገባል ማለት ነው። በየቦታው ሄደው ሰርቭ ሊያደርጉልን የሚችሉ ማለት ነው። እነዛ ሰዎች ዜኒታ ኤክስፒሪየንስ ሊኖራቸው ይገባል ማለት ነው። የተለያዩ አይነት ችግር ዲፊከልቲ በሚያጋጥምበት ሰዓት ላይ ፕሮብለም ሶልቭ የማድረግ ስኪል ያላቸው ልምድ ያላቸው ሴትአፕ ምን አይነት ይሁን ቦታው ላይ ሆነው አት ኤ ታይም ብዙ አይነት ነገሮችን ኮንሲደር ማድረግ የሚችሉ ስታፎች ነው የሚያስፈልጉን ማለት ነው። አውትዶር ኬተሪንግን በምንሰራበት ሰዓት ላይ ማለት ነው። ያ ብዙ ጊዜ አውትዶር ኬተሪንግ ስንል ከዚህ ይዘን ሄደን ፓክድ የተደረጉ ፕሪፔርድ የተደረጉ ፉድ አይተሞችን ከዚህ ይዘን ሄደን ዴሊቨር ማድረግ ይመስለናል አንዳንድ ጊዜ but it is not limited to that kind of service, but also they might also prepare some food items on that spot. እዛው ኢቨንቱ የሚከናወንበት ቦታ ላይ የተለያዩ የኪችን ኢኩዊፕመንቶችን ይዘው ተጉዘው እዛው ሊሰሩ ይችላሉ ማለት ነው። አንዳንድ ጊዜ አሴ ሪዘርቭ የተለያዩ የምግብ ሮ ማቴሪያል ጥሬ ግብአቶችን ይዘው ሊጓዙ ይችላሉ ከነማብሰያው ማለት ነው። in case of shortage ወይም ደግሞ ሊያንስ ይችላል ብለው ቢያስቡ ያንን ለፉልፊል ለማድረግ ከቨር ለማድረግ አንዳንድ የተለየ የዳይተሪ ሪኳየርመንት ያለባቸው ከስተመሮች ካሉ የነሱን ፉልፊል ሚት ለማድረግ አውት ነምበርድ ቢሆን ወይም ደግሞ ካሰብነው ቁጥር በላይ ቁጥር በሚመጣበት ሰዓት ላይ የነዛን ከስተመሮች የነዛን ሰዎች ፍላጎት ለማሟላት ወይም ደግሞ አለቀ የምትለውን ተርም አቮይድ ለማድረግ ሁሉ ጊዜ ሪዘርቭ ሮ ማቴሪያሎችን ግብአቶችን ይዘን እንሄዳለን ግብአቶችን ይዘን ስንሄድ you need to be more selective ኢንግሬዲየንቶችን የምንወስዳቸውን በጥንቃቄ መምረጥ መቻል አለብን the first one በቀላሉ ሊበስሉ የሚችሉ ወዲያው ሊሰሩ የሚችሉ ኢዚ በሆኑ ወይም ደግሞ ቀላል በመንለው የፕሪፓሬሽን ሜተድ ሊሰሩ የሚችሉ የምግብ አይነቶችን ነው መምረጥ መቻል ያለብን ማለት ነው ስለዚህ አውትዶር ኬተሪንግ በመንልበት ሰዓት ላይ ይሄንን ይመስላል ማለት ነው የፖይንቶች አሉ ኢንክሉድ የሚደረጉ ይሄ ሰርቬው ላይ ማለት ነው እነሱን የማሳያችሁ ይሆናል ማለት ነው ሶ እነዚህ ነገሮች ሰርቬው መሰራት መቻል አለበት ማለት ነው እነዚህን ማወቅ መቻል ይጠበቅብናል ማለት ነው ታይፕ ኦፍ ኢቨንቱ ምን አይነት ነው ሶ ዲፔንዲንግ ኦን ዘ ታይፕ ኦፍ ዘ ኢቨንት እንደ ኢቨንቱ አይነት እንደ ኢቨንቱ ታይፕ ምን ወስዳቸው ኢኩዊፕመንቶች ምን ተጠቀማቸው ማቴሪያሎች ምን ወስዳቸው የሰርቪስ ስታፎች ምን ወስዳቸው ሼፎች ዲተርማይን ይደረጋሉ ማለት ነው ዴት ኦፍ ኢቨንቱም አት ዘ ሴም ታይም መታወቅ መቻል አለብን አንድ ኦቨር ቡኪንግ እንዳይመጣብን ነው በዛ ቀን ሌላ ቦታ አውትዶር ኬተሪንግ ሰርቭ የምናደርግ ከሆነ በተመሳሳይ ቀን ከሆነ ሌላ ነሰሰሪ ኢኩዊፕመንቶች ሊያስፈልጉን ይችላሉ ተጨማሪ ማቴሪያሎች ማለት ነው ለ500 ሰው ኢቨንት ቢኖረን ያን ቀን ድጋሚ 400 ሰው ኢቨንት ቢመጣ አውት ነምበርድ ወይም ደግሞ ከአለን ማቴሪያል ከቁጥር ውጪ ልንሆን እንችላለን ስለዚህ መከራየት ካለብን መከራየት እንድንችል ያንን ለማወቅ ይጠቅመናል ማለት ነው የተለያዩ የስፔሻል የሊከር ላይሰንስ ፐርሚሽኖች የሚያስፈልጉን ከሆነ እነሱንም ኮንሲደር ለማድረግ ምን ያህል ነው ርቀቱ ሳይቱ ዲስታንስ ፍሮም ዘ ፕሪሚሲስ ወይም ደግሞ ካለንበት ቦታ ምን ያህል ርቀት ላይ ነው ኬተሪንጉን የምንሰጥበት ቦታ የሚገኘው ይሄኛውን ደግሞ ፕራይስ ሴት በመናረግበት ሰዓት ላይ ኮንሲደር ለማድረግ ምክንያቱም ስታፎችን ይዘን ሩቅ ቦታ እንሄዳለን የትራንስፖርቴሽን ኮስት ይኖረናል የመሳሰሉት ነገሮችን ኮንሲደር ማድረግ መቻል ይጠበቅብናል ማለት ነው እዚሁ ለምሳሌ ሰምዌር አዲስ አበባ ውስጥ አንድ ቦታ ያለው የካምፓኒያችን ያለው አራውንድ ሜክሲኮ ቢሆን ኢቨንቱ ቦሌ ቢሆንና ካምፓኒያችን ያለው ሜክሲኮ ኢቨንቱ ግን አዋሳ ቢሆን የምንወስደው ነገር በጣም ይለያያል አንድ ከዚህ ፕሪፔር አድርገን መውሰድ እንችላለን አንችልም ወይ እዛው ነው ወይ መስራት ያለብን ኮስት ውስጥ ተመሳሳይ ነው ወይ ቻርጅ የምናደርገው መሳሰሉት የሚሉት ነገሮች ለማየት ይጠቅመናል ማለት ነው ሎካል ኮሚኒቲ ፐርቼዝ ምን አይነት ሜኑ ላይ የሚገቡት አይተሞች ምንድናቸው እነሱን ለማየት ስታፍ ሪክሩትመንት ሌአውት ኦፍ ሳይት የሳይቱ ኢቨንቱን የምናከናውንበት ሳይት ምን ይመስላል ናይቱ ምን ያህል ሰው ነው ኤክስፔክት የምናደርገው ነምበር ኦፍ ፒፕል አቴንዲንግ ፕሮቪዥን ኦፍ ፒፕል ዊዝ ስፔሻል ኒድ ቀደም እንዳልነው የተለየ ፍላጎት ካላቸው ኤሪያው ላይ አቬሌብል ነው ወይ ውሃ አክሰሰብል ነው ወይ ጋዝ ኤሌክትሪሲቲ ድሬኔጅ ሪፍሪጀሬተር አለ ወይ እነዚህን የመሳሰሉት ነገሮች ፕሬስ ቼንጂንግ ሩም ሊነን ፍርስት ኤድ cost of overhead types of service የመሳሰሉት እዚህ ላይ የምታያቸው ነገሮች በጠቅላላ ኮንሲደር መደረግ መቻል ይኖርባቸዋል ማለት ነው so this is all about the second chapter which is event ማለት ነው if you have any question query you are welcomed ማለት ነው ጥያቄ ካለ መጠየቅ ትችላላችሁ ይስጥራ
ቤት
ግልጽ ነው ይገባል
አይ ግልጽ ነው
እያነበባችሁ ግን አይደለም
እኔ ፐርሰናሊ አይደለም
እኮ ፐርሰናሊ ሁላችሁም ነው ማታነቡት
አይ እንግዲህ ማለት ራሴን ወክዬ ስናገር አው ማለት ትንሽ ቢዚ ነን ስራና ለዛ ነው
እሺ ከክላስ ከተጀመረ በኋላ ብዙ ክላስ ላይኖረን ስለሚችል በአካል የምንገናኝበት በተወሰነ መልኩ አንብቡ ወዲያው ከስር ፋይናል ምናምን ሊኖር ስለሚችል you may not have በቂ ጊዜ ለማንበብ ማለት ነው ስለዚህ አትሊስት ግልጽ የሆነ ፓወርፖይንት ስለሆነ ምልክላችሁ ካነበባችሁት ኢዚ ነው ክላስ ላይ ብዙ አንፈጅም ማለት ነውና እንዳትቸገሩ በተቻላችሁ መጠን ለማንበብ ሞክሩ የዚህንም ማቴሪያል ልክላችኋለሁኝ የሁለተኛውንም ቻፕተር ማለት ነው ሶ ከስር ብታነቡ ለእናንተ አሪፍ ነው ለኔ ችግር የለውም
እሺኛ እናነባለን ነው
እሺ ጥያቄ ካላችሁ በአካል ስንገናኝ መጠየቅ ትችላላችሁ ሶ መልካም ሰንበት
ላንተ መልካም ሰንበት
በትምህርት ከፍ ብሎ መብረር ይቻላል ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ከከፍተኛ ትምህርት አግባብነትና ጥራት ኤጀንሲ ሙሉ ዕውቅናን ባገኘንባቸው በማስተርስ ዲግሪ MBA በስትራቴጂክ ማኔጅመንት MBA በባንኪንግ እና ፋይናንስ MBA በቢዝነስ ሊደርሺፕ MBA በሪስክና ኢንሹራንስ MSc በኢንተርናሽናል ትሬድ እና ኢኮኖሚክስ ዘርፎች በእውቀት ለመቅረጽ የበቁ ፕሮፌሰሮቻችን አረንጓዴ መብራታቸውን አብርተዋል በነገራችን ላይ በኬንያ ሀገር ከሚገኙ ስመጥር ዩኒቨርሲቲዎች በሚመጡ ፕሮፌሰሮች የትኩረት መስክ ትምህርቶቹ መሰጠታቸው ልዩ ያደርገናል በምርጥ የትምህርት ስርዓት የተገነባው ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ በመጀመሪያ ዲግሪ በአቪዬሽን ማኔጅመንት በሆቴል ማኔጅመንት በአካውንቲንግ እና ፋይናንስ በማርኬቲንግ ማኔጅመንት አስተማማኝ ትምህርት ይገቢውና ራስዎንና ሀገሮን ይለውጡ አድራሻ 22 አደባባይ ወደ ሾላ በሚወስደው መንገድ ላይ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ህልሞን እውን ያደርጋል